Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we've got a special guest. We've got Saf from HH Gaming. Saf, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome. So, Saf, a content creator, a developer. How many other hats have you got, mate?
Math guru, not as good as Senti, but one day I can dream.
Yeah.
Guru. Now a masters of the philosophy arts. Now we've passed that.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
Hat.
Yeah.
Totally not related, but hey, it's probably 2 years.
So, look, today we've just had news of a massive content drop for Raid. Probably quite unexpected. I think, we thought we had our big content drop already. And I just thought it'd be a really cool video if we could look through some of the kind of community reaction and then try and give our thoughts on the reaction and in a relatively balanced way. It's quite easy to kind of fall into either the trap of somebody's hyped, so we'll get hyped, or somebody's down, so we'll get down. But actually try and take a step back and view it from, does this make any sense as content coming into the game? So I guess, I don't know, it's been a crazy week, right? We've had Ronda announced, we've had a new dungeon announced with a new boss. What's your first kind of take?
So on the Ronda thing, I think it's really cool that we've got a new champion in, and it's based on a person who's in a different sort of genre for us, right? We've had Ninja, we've had Alexander. Both of them are real gamers. This is, I think, the first collaboration where it's totally not in the gaming sphere. I know Ronda Rousey, I think, is big into gaming, but she's known not to be a gamer. So I think it's cool that we're going to get sort of an audience and people coming into the game who may not necessarily be true gamers at heart and are going to hopefully get addicted as much as we are. So I quite like the chase idea. I like that it's a free 7 day. I don't like the fact you're not going to be able to get her. Although
After.
Although I did spot in I saw a GameSpot article that you're going to be able to get her after the event for new players, some sort of special event up until the end of May. So
okay.
I don't know what all that's about. I spotted it in a GameSpot, but I think it's going to create a potential problem for them in the future where at least she's not as dominant as Ninja, right? She's a good champion, but she's not as bonkers as Ninja's going to be. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I was expecting one more drop. Like last year when we had it this time of year, we had the dupe system. It was like, oh, that's it. That's their drop for the year. And then all of a sudden we got Hydra, and it's just well, okay, crazy. All out of sort of nowhere, really. So I was expecting one more this year.
I've got to say though, I was expecting maybe a cool Christmas theme, obviously a fusion and all that type of stuff, but I didn't think we'd be getting a new dungeon this year. I didn't think it would be coming.
Especially two, really, if you think about it, because I think they've already pretty much said that there's going to be accessories probably within the first quarter, I would have thought, of next year, because I'd imagine they just haven't quite got the bosses ready for that.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I think always adding new bosses, and especially this boss in particular, I think is a very good design, because they haven't just gone carbon copy, eliminate poisons, eliminate HP burn, eliminate this, eliminate that, and now all you can do is just one strategy to win. I think having the ability to use debuffs in a very clever and different way that normally would be blocked shows a little bit of creativeness and inventiveness. And I've seen a lot lately, and we'll probably see some of these comments as we look at them, about people saying, oh, Plarium doesn't care about their players and they don't care about the game. I actually spoke to a former developer from Plarium who reached out to me to kind of go, hey, I've left. You want any sort of insights in terms of how the company worked? And I can tell you, they are very attentive to what the game mode should be, how they want it to work, and how it's going to impact players. So I actually think from a perspective here, we can see that in the video, because we can see they're already thinking, oh, Siffy's going to be really good here. Now, whether or not that's appropriate to make it very dependent on Siffy is a whole other thing. But I think from a game design perspective, when they built Hydra, they did it on purpose to make it RNG heavy. They know what they're doing. They know what they want to achieve. Now, necessarily doesn't mean it's right for the players, but I think I've seen a lot lately from different people saying, oh, they're just doing this to get more money. Or it's actually, I don't know. I think they've had a plan to add a new dungeon for a while, and they want to actually try and drive different variation. They don't want it just to be a carbon copy of, run Hydra, run Clan Boss, and then stop playing the game.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
Let's dive in and see what the community have got to say. So I think we're probably going to end up covering some of this stuff anyway. But let's just make that a little bit bigger. So first one up then, and these are in no particular order. I've just pulled out comments from my video yesterday, which I put out about the new dungeon, my reaction to the kind of new dungeon video. I've just pulled out comments that were popular Yeah, and some of them are positive, some of them are not, some of them are funny, whatever. So we're just going to go through them one by one and give our take. First one here then, Charles Earl. This would be a great update if, instead of farming oil, we were farming pages for books. This game needs a way to farm books. Lack of books is what holds my account back more than anything.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
So we know for a fact that we're probably, unfortunately for Charles, he's never going to get this wish because they pretty much said, without saying it directly, they're never going to add a way for you to farm books. They pretty much said that in interviews and different parts of the thing. Now,
Yeah.
whether or not they should, I would prefer more opportunities to get completed books than necessarily having a dungeon where I have to spend more energy to get fragments towards a book, right? So a big thing that I'm trying to push for is more centralization of currencies. We've got Arena Gold medals, Arena Gold bars, we've got Clan Gold, we've got all these different currencies that all have their own different shops. It would be better if we had like a centralized way where we could just earn like a universal currency and then we can exchange it for the book. I definitely think we don't have enough opportunities to get books, especially now they're replacing epic books with silly things like 5 tier 1 essence for the Soul Forge. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know who's doing the math in Plarium, but one epic book is not equal to 5 tier 1 essence. Not even
No,
anywhere
not even
near.
close. Not even close. I've
So
got to say, like, I actually think the idea of a book farming dungeon, not a page farming dungeon, I actually like the idea. I think it's a cool idea. And I think for me right now, books are not a challenge. Yeah, but that's because my game is, my account is so old and, really I get very few new champions that make a difference. But when I do my free to play accounts, I have to be very, very specific around who I book and how much I book.
yeah,
Like, I have to be really kind of tight with it. And that's even more difficult if you're not doing Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. As soon as you do Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss on a regular basis, books become more accessible, I think is
they
probably the right
become
word.
less of a I don't have any books and more of a I'm one book short when you
Yeah,
get
but
Ultra
I
Nightmare.
definitely feel like for the average player who wants to enjoy this game and play for up to a year, which is probably the most of us, right? We're the exception rather than the
Yeah,
rule.
we're the crazy people.
Yeah, but I think this would make more sense
I
than what
I
they're
definitely
doing.
think as a principle, there needs to be more ways to acquire books. Now, whether or not we have that as a farming of a dungeon, which requires energy, or whether we have that as a reward structure that is more generalistically based around what you're already doing, I think I think both are correct.
Yeah.
But
Okay, let's
my
move on.
fear
So we
would
got
be if they ever put in a dungeon like that, it would be like, hey, go drop another 300 energy, and yeah, okay, you might decide books are more important, but it's just going to be more resource on top of resource you need to spend.
yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So some of these I put a couple of replies, so I thought they were relevant. So we got here. This boss will be almost undoable for 90% of the player base because you need such specific champions. Like you need multiple good sleepers, you need revive on death champions, good healers, good nukers, with as few hits as possible. It unlocks at level 38. At that level, almost nobody will be able to do this dungeon. And then a couple of replies here. You don't have to do a dungeon as soon as it unlocks. There'll be many more important things to do if you're a new player, like get masteries, level 60s, that type of stuff. And someone else has said here, at level 38, you will be able to do the first few stages. They shouldn't release content where you can finish stage 15 at such a low level. So I guess I'll give
Okay.
my take on this first and then see what you think, Saf. But it's a bit like Iron Twins, right? Iron Twins, on my free-to-play, that was, I don't know, like a couple of 100 days in, I could get up to about stage 11. And if I wanted to do Iron Twins on a regular basis, I was able to do it, just not the end stage, right? So I think a couple of the replies here are pretty relevant.
Yeah.
I also think it's very relevant that you should not be doing this at all until you've got maybe like 5 max champions with max masteries and you farmed a ton of gear. This is the icing on the cake for basically growing stats, in my opinion.
It's stat bloat, yeah.
Yeah. What's your thoughts?
So I think firstly on the unlocking, Playroom do a really bad job at guiding players through the early game of this game. Like we know
Terrible job.
they love
Terrible
to
job.
throw you off. Like go hit campaign stage 1 normal again because you need to get one type of every single artifact.
You've just
for your city
beaten
mission.
brutal 12-7. Go back to normal 3-5
Yeah.
and farm that for the next 1,000 energy if you don't mind.
Yeah. And then, of course, you forget that there's challenges which require you to get like, 4 1-star attack weapons from normal campaign or something done. So you go and get all the way through to night sort of brutal, and then all of a sudden you look at challenges and go, oh great, I got to drop another like 200 energy on this. So we know that the level unlocking is almost irrelevant. Like I think the forge unlocks are like level 40 or something silly like that, when really you'd want that at like level 20.
Yeah.
Hydra unlocks before you've even got like 2 6 stars. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's just so that I think we can kind of almost go, "Do you know what, ignore that. I don't think that's relevant. In terms of what I
But
think
he's right though,
Playroom,
isn't he? Let's say that though. He is right. This unlocking at level 38, we can say it's irrelevant because we know that they shouldn't do it. But players, as soon as stuff
right,
unlocks in a game, your focus is, well, I'll go and try it out.
that was
And I'll
my
go and
next
waste a
point.
bunch. Oh, sorry. Okay. Carry on.
Playroom want you to do it
Yeah.
because they want you to waste your energy. They want you to use your resources, just like they wanted you to use your glyphs before you got to that advanced mission, and just like they want you to use your shards all the time. They're sitting there going, "Well, we'll unlock it at level 38. You go and burn your energy on it. Go upgrade some of those really pointless artifacts." Where most of us who are, myself, yourself included, sort of high end players will go, "No, no, no, I'm going to hoard all that oil until I have like the best piece." A bit like Chaos Ore. I'm going to not use my Chaos Ore unless it's on like the right set, the right piece that's got the right amount of substat rolls.
Yeah.
So I
All,
think
all,
I
yeah.
don't think the argument is nobody will be able to do it, because I think probably the early stages are going to be pretty straightforward. I mean, I don't think it's going to be so dependent on the mechanics early on. It never normally is. Let's face it, normal Hydra now, you can just basically put 6 damage dealers and then probably one shot ahead. Not You don't need to worry so much about the mechanics anymore. Once it scales, I think it will.
Yeah. The other thing I would say though is like this ascension of items. So let's say we've got a player who's been playing for a month, 2 months, whatever, and they've got now their champions with 5 or 6 star items, level 16 across the board.
Yeah,
Now, all this will do if you ascend items is actually just give you more stats.
indeed.
Even if they're not the role you want, it will just give you more stats, which means that for anyone who does this, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do early, but for anyone who does it on any piece, it will make content slightly easier,
It
slightly
should do.
easier, because it's just stat bloat. So you're
Although
either tankier or you're faster, or you've got more damage. Like there's no drawback unless you're speed tuning and you make a mistake. There's no drawback to more stats.
there is a drawback in terms of cost,
Yeah, where
because
you put your energy,
well, no,
it's
the initial cost to actually upgrade an item seems to be very steep from the initial math that we've seen. We're talking potentially 3,000 just to upgrade it to level 6,
right.
3,000 energy based on the amount of potions you're going to need. Obviously, we don't know the specific drop rates. We don't know how the drop rates are going
Yeah,
to work. So
there
we're
was
assuming a
we
few
will come on
things.
to a comment about that because I mean that's we don't
That's a
know yet.
concern.
We don't know,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Obviously, there's no cap with this dungeon as well, if anyone doesn't know. So, like, it's not like the Iron Twins where you can only do it 6 or 12 times a day. It's like a potion keep. People will be able to run this as much as they want to burn energy. So, one thing I did want to make a comment on the undoable part. Playroom have, for some reason, decided to pick the one debuff that most people don't even want, and it's also on like the fewest champions. They did this with Hydra. When Hydra came out, they were like, "You need Perfect Veil," and we're sitting there going, "Well, that's great. If I haven't got a Shamael to deal with that Fearhead or a Duchess, who the hell do I pick?" I think the only other one was Rector until
yeah,
Tatura got added. So I think the only good thing is there are some rares and uncommon champions. It's even a common champion that might even be the best in slot here if you haven't got a
right,
Siffy that can do sleep. You need
yeah.
sleep, right? They pretty much, this boss is, if you haven't got sleep, don't even bother. Pretty much is what they're saying.
Feels that
The,
way, yeah,
the other thing that to note about that is a lot of the good sleep champions, your Prince Kaimars, your Noct the Paralyzer, which just got added. I think there's also another good sleep champion. I think I can't remember the name of it. Muckstalker, I think, is a rare. They're all
Buckstalker, yeah,
magic. And by the looks of it, the top difficulty affinity of this boss is going to be Force. So not only have they picked the very least available debuff, they've also managed to sort of kick out half of them due to affinity. So it is feeling a little bit like if you have got Siffy, this becomes like 10 times easier. Just like if you have Geomancer, Iron Twins becomes 100 times easier.
yeah.
But we'll have to see. I would put my right kidney on the fact that the Christmas fusion is probably going to have a sleep mechanic in there somewhere.
You would think so, right? Or you
I'm
would
gonna
hope so.
You
You
would
would
hope
hope
so.
so.
They did it with Tutora, and it was a pretty good idea. Tutora
Yeah.
actually was great because it also decreased accuracy, which helped people with bommel. So you had 2 for 1.
Okay, next one then. So just thinking about champ. Oh, this is Matt Shelton here. just thinking about champs like Bad L and Mother Sybil right now. Very interesting new boss with some great mechanics. Can't wait to get my hands on it and give it a go. This is probably the other extreme of actually, let's go for it. This is a
Yeah,
cool new boss with good
positivity.
mechanics.
I think actually what's really cool is firstly Miracle Heal might actually have a place now
Yeah,
because the problem with Miracle Heal and Hydra is as long as the decay head is up, you actually can never get ahead of the
it's
decay
like a
head,
one
right?
for one, isn't it?
He takes
The
15,
benefit
you
is
heal
lost.
15. Where at
Yeah.
least now, once you put the sleep up, Miracle Heal can start kicking in, which is cool. Obviously, direct healing might still be more powerful than Miracle Heal, but hey, at least we've got a more relevant blessing with this boss, which is cool.
Yeah.
That
Do
basically
you not
tells
feel
me,
like when you saw the clip of this, continuous heals, getting rid of that um, lost health,
hmm,
I almost felt like I wonder if they've made a mistake because that seems very different to the coding. Normally, a direct heal, I could get it. Continuous heals are normally not in the same type of kind of bracket, if you
I
know what
think
I
it's going
mean.
to be so. Yes, I think it's going to be the way it's coded. So obviously, Miracle Heal is coded on the action of a heal from the person wearing Miracle Heal, right? They've made it so that you have to wear Miracle Heal.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with the boss passive, it's going to be targeted against the individual who takes a turn. So if that individual heals and they've got destroyed max HP, they just remove it. So I
Right.
think that's why it's going to work differently because obviously I can't directly heal someone with continuous heal. It's all
Yeah.
when they take an action. I can't directly heal someone with leech. That's when they attack. Whereas the boss targeting an ally, it can work. So I
Okay.
think it will be a bit different because of that. Whether or not they update blessings at the same time for Miracle Heal, I don't know. We'll have to see. Probably not. But it's
Yeah. A
the
lot of the blessings need a bit of a rework, don't they?
the
But
important thing for
okay.
me is kind of like they're looking at blessings and the new content and kind of going put them together. It's
Some
not like we've
synergy
made
there.
it. It's not like life tokens where we made the system and forget about it. It's still in the periphery that the blessing was built for a specific design purpose. So that's
Yeah.
kind of good, right? Because we were sitting there thinking Miracle Heal is only good for Hydra. There's no other place where
Yeah.
destroying max HP happens. Um, I
Okay.
think it's going to bring more champions into play here we haven't used before. Certainly, like that knock the paralyzer, also almost always like it looks much better now as a champion. Where
Yeah,
before we were
definitely. The
like,
design now makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
yeah, we were
Yeah.
thinking of like, well, where's sleep going to be useful? Oh, the boss which required sleep.
Yeah. Right. Let's go on to the next one. So Joldy here. I'm up for this. More energy is needed here for the crazy amount of content we have. This is like a comment I'm seeing a lot. But
I
I
agree.
definitely feel it's a good addition. I'm sorry. I feel it's a good addition. It's annoying getting bad rolls, etc. But if you could get exactly what you want on equipment, the game wouldn't be interesting.
I
So
agree.
this is that kind of point of RNG is needed in a game like this. Like
Mm.
certainly on gear, and it's always been the same. World of Warcraft, Star Wars Galaxy, all these games I played in the past, it's always been the same because if everyone got amazing stuff all the time, it gets boring very quickly, and
Yeah.
you don't get that kind of buzz of I've got something awesome.
I think the problem they've had lately, though, is the RNG has been so RNG that people have
Yeah,
stopped doing it. So there's a
definitely.
balance, right? I think this comment here is one of the most reasoned comments I've seen in a long time. Actually, he's basically going, "I want RNG, but what I don't want is so much RNG that I have to put crazy amounts of energy in to make that RNG too much, right? To make that
Yeah,
RNG less RNG. So, for example, I could run 10,000 Fire Knights and probably not return with a single Savage piece. And it's an all or nothing mechanic. I was speaking to someone the other night about this, saying, wouldn't it be good if we could basically deconstruct artifact gear rather than just sell it? That goes into like a forge material that we can maybe craft a few more targeted pieces. So if I'm
yeah,
running 10,000 Fire Knight runs, out of that 10,000 runs, I can try and get a much more targeted run. So like
yeah.
mercy system for dungeon grinding.
Well, interestingly, Eternal Evolution have got a smelt system where you put 5
Yes,
items you don't want into the mixer and it kicks out the set that
something.
you want, but still with RNG stats. So it's still RNG,
Exactly.
and you might not get what you want, but actually sometimes you do, and it's
It's
at least
basically a
in the
mercy
set that you
system,
want. Yeah,
right? That's what they're giving you. They're basically saying you've had really bad luck. Let's just we feel bad for you, give you an extra reroll. It's the same thing with shard summoning. They put a mercy system in there. And I think what we've had lately is people have stopped running dungeons because the forge gears are pretty good. They gave you better access to gear because you can actually guarantee you're going to get good gear for the set you want. And the amount of energy required to get anything good out of the dungeons is really low. So in this argument here, he's right. We want RNG, but we need to try and alleviate some of the RNG here. I think this system will be better if they add the re-rolling.
And do you think here? So the first point about energy, which is definitely I've seen it a ton of times. I think, by the way, we get more energy than we've ever got. Yeah, that's
Mm.
one thing. Like as a new player, when I'm playing my free to play accounts, I feel the difference from when I first started playing this game to now. It's light and day. Like you wouldn't believe it, guys. You wouldn't believe the energy constraint before. But do you think it's now time that level cap, 130 goes up, or
Yeah.
energy refreshes quicker or something with the amount of stuff that's going on?
So we get around about 600 to 1,000 energy, depending on where you're sitting with different daily resets and different daily logins a day, right? That's how much energy you get in terms
Yeah.
of free rewards. We're not talking about free regen. We're talking about when I log in, of all the different advanced quests,
Do
daily
you
quests, daily
advance? Do your
logins.
dailies? Yeah. Yeah.
You get around about somewhere between 500 to 1,000 energy. So I think that's okay. I think with the addition of Iron Twins and now this sort of the thing with Iron Twins was it was a fixed cap amount of energy, and you can choose whether you want to spend the gems to buy the keys. I mostly don't unless it's void, so you're always at like six
Yeah.
energy. It's 120 energy a day if you're 100% successful. So you had like a finite addition. Well, you're gonna have to farm this dungeon, but you're gonna have to farm this dungeon on top of farming gear, on top of doing Iron Twins, on top of doing masteries, and on
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
of
It's
doing
just
potion
extra.
keys.
It's
So
just an extra. Yeah.
I think with this dungeon, I wasn't calling for it with Iron Twins because, like you said, we've had a lot of energy. I think with this dungeon, we probably need to see that cap go maybe up to 150
Yeah.
instead of
I agree.
130 so that we
I,
get
I
20
agree.
energy per refill.
And also, it just like there almost needs to be some sort of warning from the game to say, this really is for later game. Like this,
Yeah.
this should be used on good pieces because otherwise, it's wasting the energy. That's
Yeah.
what I worry about more than anything here. Is
The good thing is they've
it's a
limited it to level
waste.
12, right? So they have, to some extent, you could say, well, they haven't because you can do it on any rarity. And you shouldn't really be able to. I would say there's no value in ascending anything that isn't 6-star rare or epic
Yeah,
legendary higher, right? But at least they've done it that you can't ascend it till it's level 12. So people aren't just going to be able to go in and then go, oh, I'm going to run. I wonder what this does. Click a button, and all of a sudden they've wasted like a ton of oil. That won't happen, at least. So
yeah,
I agree. There needs to be some sort of big red light saying, hey guys, this is a great new dungeon, but don't waste your resources because it's energy you're wasting here.
yeah. Right. This is from Turbo here. Watch
Gold
people
Turbo.
cry right away. It's too hard. I think we need more bosses that are challenging instead of taken down and solved in a few minutes. I love new content.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we've got a lot to say about that, but it's a fair comment. Like, people generally are kind of like, we want content, we want content. Then something comes out and they're like, this sucks because it's going to be hard and it's going to be new and
Yeah.
there's no time. And I mean, I guess we'll come on to time in a second. Well, I'll touch on time right now. Whenever they release something which is going to absorb time, I feel like they have to balance it with something which removes time.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like they have to. I like that they developed the game further. I like it. But that we still haven't got an answer. And they've said it's coming, but I don't see it. We haven't got an answer to 3 versus 3 arena taking bloody ages. We haven't got an answer to, I guess they've done some things around artifacts, but it's still too much. It's
Yeah.
still too much, isn't it?
Well, I think with 3v3 they've made it worse now because they've been focused on trying to make this they have this dream that you can't just one shot a team. So now
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
takes like a minute. So every 3v3 fight, may like 6 months ago was taking maybe 30 seconds. It's now taking a minute plus
Yeah.
easily. So I think we need to see things like, why do I have to watch my Doom Tower go at double key? Why can't I just have it a quad key? We've got ×3 dungeons now, so they figured out that you can add +1 to something. So can we add an extra, we've got super raids in faction wars. Can I just basically, I don't know, have it as like,
Just
instead of me
complete
doing it
all my
once, just do
keys.
it
All my keys
4?
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use
Yeah.
all my keys, all my dungeon keys. That's fine. Um, on the comment of, do we want new content? Yes, I think everyone wants new content. What they have to make sure, though, I think the problem that Hydra had was the new content wasn't hard. The new content was random.
Yeah.
It wasn't difficult for me build a team and then try and make that team work. Bommel for me was a good challenge. It was difficult. There was a couple of different strategies, but if you wanted to do it sort of the way they envisaged, you had to have a very well built team with the right champions and the right setup. If you got that, you were pretty good. It was
Yeah.
reliable. The
Do you
problem
not
with
feel like
Hydra was it
with
was too
Hydra,
RNG.
the change they made just a couple of tweaks has made it more enjoyable for me. Like being
Yes.
able to now provoke ahead, being able to control ahead of mischief. All of a sudden, I'm like, I can now control this fight.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I couldn't control the fight, which made it
Less
annoying. I was just
RNG.
frustrated. Yeah. I can
Exactly.
control the RNG. Therefore, it's now a strategic fight and it's more enjoyable to do.
Yeah, you're making decisions, right? So I'll run a team maybe and I'll go, do you know what? I'm not going to put a Shamel or a Duchess. I'm going to hope that I can kill the Torment head and then pray that I'm not going to get it back, right? You can make decisions. And if it doesn't work out, well, that's on me. But
Yeah.
last time it was basically, oh, the K head is cleansed now. And now I've got Poison Cloud and now I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I also think they added a lot more champions that can help with that area. Where before it was like one Veil champion. There was no
Yeah.
provoking. There was none. It was just like you had no control. So I think challenge, yes. RNG, you got to be careful of.
Yeah. One here from Stacked Fact. Couple of things to point out. Basically, healers are becoming more relevant, like a
Yeah.
Pardin. Miracle Blessing we've spoken about already. They said here, noobs will rush to farm day sets. Skilled players will go to Hell Hades' website to see who's got a sleep on their
Yeah.
A1. Pulls out a few champions here. DJ, OG Death Knight, and Hellhound has entered the chat.
Hellhound is actually. This is how astonishing it is. Hellhound is 100% sleep on an A1 so long as he crits.
Wow.
He's
That's actually
common,
nuts.
so it's going to be difficult to build him because he's common, not uncommon, right? That's the only
Yeah, yeah.
downside. You can't really get any banners or amulets on him. But yeah, he basically is 100% chance on an A1. It's the best. It's the best non-Siffy sleep in the game, and he's a common.
Interesting. But the funny thing is, like, I know we're trying to talk about champions probably in the separate videos and stuff who should be good. We did the same thing with twins. It's not until you actually play the content that you know how effective they will be. Some of us can get prepped and we'll try out different stuff and we'll think we know the answer. But I'll say this now, like with Iron Twins, we thought we knew the answer. The fight came out and those initial teams that we thought about don't exist.
I did exactly the same with Hydra. I did a Hydra preview video and then all of my team suggestions and ideas for it kind of went out the window. And they kind of, some of them have come back in now since they've changed it. And then with Iron Twins, I was like, oh, well, we're definitely going to need poisoners and poison activators because we made the assumption that, of course, the passive would work exactly like Ice Golem, but it didn't. So now you're basically like, if you haven't got Geo, you basically pray to the gods that you get one, I guess.
Right, okay, we've got one here. Increase the energy cap or energy regen and rate by 10 to 20%. It will drive up player engagement time and make everyone happy. And there's basically comments to say yes, yes, yes. I know we've spoken about this one already, so I kind of think this one's done, but more people
I would say
the
cap is more important than regeneration because regeneration would require more playtime where cap can allow more burst, right? So if I've got more upfront energy, I can put the game down for a bit longer. Whereas if it's a case of I'm at 130 with more regeneration, that means I have to play it more. So I think cap better than regeneration.
This one is actually the most upvoted comment on my video.
It is out, like, if we think the energy cap hasn't been reviewed in like 2.5 years, so I think it's probably something, it's a simple fix, right? You change a number in the code. It's a simple fix, but it would give so much value and respect and everyone would be really happy in the community about it. So
someone else here, Zach Goody, really like the idea of sleep being used, don't like the idea of grind for bad RNG, but you could also get good RNG. I think the boss looks fun, really wish that tree would be a place to grind books rather than oil for accessories. Would have been better if this dungeon was for both artifacts and accessories, albeit we know they're doing a second one for. I guess that's actually a good point. Do we really need a dungeon for both?
Now that you think about it, it's actually a bit naughty, really, because we're going to have double the grind.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, I hadn't thought of it.
I haven't really thought about it either.
Point.
But it's double the grind, essentially, because you're going to have to put your energy in 2 places to get 2 different currencies because it's probably going to be a different type of oil to basically upgrade the same thing. You know, we talk about accessories and artifacts being, you know, they've got a different name, but they're practically the same thing, right? It's something that gives you stats.
So
it should be the same. It should be the
same. Good point, actually, Zach. I like that. Mark McCauley, I think this is a great comment here. Would like to see Minotaur 25 and regular dungeons at level 30. Since these updates are making our champs so much more powerful. Now, it actually ties in with something Sophia, one of the mods on Discord, well known in the community, said, and I think it's probably pretty accurate. This upgrade is almost like we're getting 7-star gear. but when it's done in a different way.
Yeah.
So it's done more in a. Let's say we get speed boots, right? If they were 6-star speed boots, we know the cap of their speed. If we got 7-star and we knew it was a speed boot, then we would know the new cap. Yeah. So actually, we would make a conscious decision of I'm going to upgrade my 7-star gear and get my main cap and hope that I get good substats. With what they're doing here, they're actually saying, okay, you got your 6-star boot, and you might get the equivalent of a 7-star upgrade to your speed. Yeah. But you know what? You might also get flat health, and it might be relatively pointless. So,
well, there's two ways you can look at it. One way you look at it is, why didn't they give a 7-star gear? And then you go, well, that means I'd have to go refarm my entire account worth of artifacts, which means the last 2.5 years is worthless. So I can see why they didn't just add 7-star gear. That's the first thing to point out. Like, otherwise, every piece of gear that I have is irrelevant.
But they did that when they moved from 5 to 6.
They did, but they did it relatively early into the game, right? You hadn't been playing the game long. I'm talking about people like us, where we've been playing the game for 3+ years. Overnight, they would basically make all of our gear irrelevant because we'd have to go refarm it all again. I think that would be a massive negativity. So what they've done is correct. They've, in a sense, that they've made 7-star gear without making you make 7-star gear again. They've given you an opportunity to reuse your gear. That's why I think it's important that they added a method for you to re-roll once. Like, we need a chaos ore for this bonus ascended substat, because if I want an extra chance to try and defeat the RNG. One thing I would say about regular dungeons level 30, I don't think many teams can one-shot a team. Like, if you haven't got Theodore
there's just
or
really
Seer, you can't one-shot.
There's not a lot of interest from me in just boosting a dungeon level.
I don't think you can, because the only thing that it would do with level 30 is it would increase the base stats.
More health, more defense.
Which means the only champions that are going to be able to do it are going to be the same champions again.
Yeah. That's what I mean. There's no new. I guess there was a new interest in a sense because they changed the boss mechanics a bit from, moving up as they've done it. But
it's the waves that are the problem, right? Because I think the argument here is, oh, well, all our champs are just going to be able to one-shot everything. It was like, well, actually, unless you have a Theodore, or you have a Xavier team, or you have a Seer, then how are you killing the only other champion that I think may be able to do it is a Crushing Ren 6-star Awakened Baron, but even then I'm not sure he can do it. So I don't think there's too many powerful champions, but I don't think adding a bit more stats is going to make a difference. Minotaur 20, 100%. Why we haven't got Minotaur 20?
Or do you think Minotaur 20, 100% for sure? And also with Minotaur, I'm in this place where, do we need to watch that run? Once we've done it, can we not just say, clear it 10 times? Maybe you've got to watch one run, but clear it with 10 lots of energy.
Or just let me burn, exchange energy for scrolls. I don't know, but then maybe that defeats the...
I like the idea of you have to see it happening, because then you haven't ripped all your gear off those champions. That's the thing. They don't want people to be like, I've done it, therefore it's just an auto farm, but that gear's not there anymore. They need you to still manage your account, but you watch it one time. This is the same for dungeons, by the way.
Or just super raids.
You watch it one time, and it clears however many times you choose, and maybe you've got a set amount of those per day.
Just make it so that there's not a capped super raid. So if I want to, if I've got 250 energy, just allow me to press a button that says how many times do you want this to run.
Exactly that.
Watch it once. And you play the RNG risk. If you know you can't beat it, then you shouldn't put so much energy into it, right? It's your own fault kind of thing then. But at least then I can just do it once, and then I've burnt all my energy. I don't have to sit there for hours upon end watching
the game running. Like people on phones and stuff, the game running Minotaur for hours on end.
It's dumb.
Especially people that are trying to catch up. Like new players coming in, trying to get... I remember my first experience of getting scrolls, I had 5 champions, all
Took
60s.
forever.
Trying to get my first set of scrolls because you're spreading them around everybody. It's painful to do.
It's months.
It was literally, I think it was actually, and I was hardcore playing the game. I think it was 2 weeks of playing Raid. That's all I did. Was Minotaur.
It's better now we have more energy and different things. The other thing as well to note is obviously more summon events, more new champions means more accessibility to new champions, which means more champions you need to build. I've got a backlog of about 15 champions that are waiting for masteries because every week we have some other new event that we need to get a champion for. So that's another factor.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to grab a couple more here. Let's just read through these. The 6-star legendary piece in the video takes, this is to your point earlier, I think,
Yes.
takes so much oil, blah, blah, blah. If you're clearing level 25 of a dungeon and you get these rewards, best case scenario, it will take you 34 runs of a dungeon to level up one piece of gear. Very long grind for getting your gear upgraded.
So
all I would say, we don't know for sure.
We don't know the drop rates, right?
We don't know.
But if we assume it works like potion keeps, which it's probably going to, in the sense that those numbers are exactly what you get from a potion keep, level 20 potion keeps are much better, right?
Yeah.
But there's still a grind, right? Because we were still getting silly things like mystery shards. Hopefully we won't have anything other than oil, which will help a lot with the grind. I think someone did the math that based on the number of potions you require to get to 6-star for something, it's going to be like 3,000 energy to do a 1 to 6, which is quite a lot for one piece.
It's a hell of a lot. But again, we don't know, do we?
But you've got to put a cap on it. See, so if you're not going to put a key cap, what you can't have is people like this is the MMO mentality, right? A new expansion comes out, the MMO players grind it so hard in a week that 1 year's worth of development time gets consumed in a week, and then they all go, "What do I do now?"
Yeah,
so you've got to have a balance. So as long as it feels like I'm getting upgrades,
as long as you're progressing,
it's okay. I thought Iron Twins would actually be really bad, but since they've been dropping coins all over the place, I feel like
don't talk to me about Iron Twins, Saf.
Not so bad. But I did a math video on it, right? And I basically said Iron Twins, we don't get any resources from. But what they've done is they've topped it up from all the different events and different, like there's always coins on an event or a tournament.
There is,
So we always feel like we're getting a soul here or there. We might not get the soul we want, unless you're me, of course. However, since they've basically put it everywhere, it's not so bad. But what they've got to be careful of here is they don't make it so that it's so low. All we're doing is we're like one upgrade a week.
Yeah, or people just can't be asked to do it.
They'll not do it. We already see it with Iron Twins. Most people kind of don't do all of it because they don't get enough coins out of it. It's not worth it unless it's a void weekend, a void day.
Another one here about energy. Kind of skip that one. We've got here Halloween. I think the idea of the boss is cool. I would really like to see some quality of life changes coming hand in hand. Higher energy cap, lower or no cost for gear removal. I really enjoy the content when it comes out. Not sure what to think of the RNG yet. We'll probably ascend all my 6-star speed boots first and see which ones hit additional speed.
Yeah.
I think this is quite a nice balanced comment. Likes the idea of a new boss. Definitely agree. More quality of life changes coming hand in hand. And some of that is around speed. Some of it is just around some other stuff we talked about a lot, which I can't believe it's not improved, honestly. They need to do the two, don't they? New content alongside improve what we've got. Because what we've got is the base foundation of a game, which is successful. And there's tons of stuff they could do to enhance that. And I don't think we've got time to go through all of that type of stuff now. But what do you think of the comment?
I think it's basically we need to remember that there are like legacy systems that we need to sort out, basically. Great Hall, many of us, like I've finished my Great Hall. What do I do with my coins? What's the point of me doing Classic Arena if I can't get into Platinum? Things like those sorts of things.
Yeah, the Bazaar,
the Bazaar's totally out of date.
There's a whole,
Secret Rooms for Doom Tower. We need a solution for that. I think he's right about the gear cost removal. I feel like we need to bring that down as a permanent feature because I think 200,000 to swap a 6-star legendary is so expensive. It's so expensive.
You know what you could see? You could just see something which is ascended, the cost goes up.
Oh, it would happen.
You could see it.
They'd be there with a bottle going, let's get the tiers of the free-to-play players coming out right now.
Yeah. Okay, let's look. We've got a couple more here. What I see, a great new pack offer from Plarium, 105 small, blah, 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 29. Yeah, I mean, this often gets talked about, when Faction Wars came out, what's going to be the price of new keys? When Iron Twins came out, what's going to be the price of this? And
they can sell it. I don't mind. It won't be that cheap, though.
We'll sell stuff. Like, let's not, let's not kind of pussyfoot around this. Plarium like making money. I did a video earlier today about their performance, and they're still making boatloads of money.
Yeah,
I'm sure they will offer this. Just remember, everyone, you don't need to buy this stuff. Like, if there's an offer, you don't need to buy it. It's your choice.
It's going to be a lot more expensive than that because if we think how they value potions, it's going to be more expensive than a potion, and we don't value potions.
Yeah, this pack looks pretty decent to me.
Yeah. Like we got
Yeah,
to think
Keith,
like
Keith, you're way off the mark. This is a decent
if we think
pack.
they value potions really highly and they value silver really highly compared to what we value it at,
Yeah,
the pack that they're going to offer for the oil is probably going to be stupidly expensive. So don't worry, guys. They can offer it. Nobody's going to buy it unless you're like
yeah.
super crack and whale, and then you're just an idiot, I guess. But there you go.
Okay, I've got two more here. Captain Spork. This will be both exciting and stimulating. The sleep mechanic will be fun to brainstorm on champs or artifacts to use. As they stated, this dungeon is to prepare us for future in-game content. That's an interesting kind of call out. You know, what almost like a what's next. I don't know if there is much of a what's next, but I guess there is. They've
Yeah.
got a new space for arena. They've got a new space for
Or is that new thing in
clan
Clan Boss,
boss.
right? The
Uh,
cynic in me is basically going, you should probably tell me what that future content is before I go farm it, right? Because I'm not.
yeah,
Let's face it, we've been waiting a year for PvP changes, which is understandable. I'm not being critical of it, but at the same time, the cynic in me is going future end game content. Okay, right, what's that? Is it basically more RNG or more stone skin or basically another tier or what is that
yeah,
future? Because so far, the Iron Twins is basically a way to make my champion stronger, but not new content in that
yeah.
sense. This is going to be another way to make my champion stronger, but not new content. Like none of it actually is going
Empowerment,
towards making
faction
something easier.
guardians, gear,
It's what you
blessings.
said with
Yeah,
the Doom Tower thing where you climb it. Nothing you do when you climb that tower is designed to make it easier for you to climb that tower
yeah,
in that sense. So, in terms of future endgame content, this dungeon Iron Twins is not about preparing my champion to do something that I couldn't do before. It's just making my champion stronger in the arena,
yeah. And so
basically.
that was going to be my kind of take on the final kind of thoughts here. If you're an end game platinum arena player that is trying to win plat, this is probably a daunting update because
Yeah,
you're going to be farming the hell out of this, trying to boost because you're min maxing. Everything's min max. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like I need the +4 empowerment. I need the right blessing. I need it to be 6-star. I now need my gear ascended because you're competing with everybody else who's doing those things, and I don't give a crap about throwing money at it, right? Whereas I think the average end game player, which I think I'm one of, I actually just see this as if I get enhanced gear, it makes everything else I do a bit easier
I can
to do.
push the numbers higher, basically, right? It's
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
game break.
If I'm not
Whereas
trying to win plat, then I don't see a negative to me getting more stats. So
the reality of the situation is, as much as this is a very small chance, you could pull a 6-star crit damage stone skin glove out of Hydra that's mythical, and in the mythical roll is on crit rate, and then you can quad roll that crit rate to get yourself up to what 54 was it? I think it's like 45%. It's 35 plus 7, 42% crit rate. You can then ascend that item and get yourself another somewhere between it's about 20 to 30% of the primary stats. So that's another 20% crit rate. So we're basically saying one glove that's crit damage could be more crit rate than a crit rate primary glove.
yeah.
If you get like that piece here. Imagine if that piece
I just, as
rolls.
you were talking, I was like, I remember I picked up a speed piece
Yeah.
yesterday that I hadn't rolled yet. But yeah, no, I totally get your point.
So what's going
Yeah,
to happen is right now in top plat you have like the 1 to 50, which is kind of like one tier of platinum. Then you have the 50 to sort of 150, which is another tier. And then you have everyone else in platinum, right, who's competing. That 1 to 50, if all of a sudden my Candrathon has got an extra 20% crit rate, that could be an extra 1 to 2,000 attack because I can re-gear him differently.
yeah.
It's going to be infuriating for those high end players because if they don't get the RNG, they're going to have to go back into those dungeons and grind the hell out of them for another 6 months, which is going to be potentially rage inducing for people.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, and
Potentially.
I know when they brought in some of the changes for Arena back in the day, actually some high end players left because they didn't want to go back on the grind. They already felt like they'd like for
Yeah.
Empowerment, for example. When Empowerment
Awakening
came
did.
out, yeah,
Killed some people off. They were just like, I'm done. I'm not grinding again.
yeah,
Which, to be honest, I think that's not a symptom of the system. I think that's a symptom of a player playing too much. Right? They've reached the end of their cycle. It wouldn't have been just Awakening that does that. It could have been anything that
could
would
have
have
been
killed them
anything.
off. They're
Yeah,
just waiting
yeah,
for the one thing that's going to be too a sort of a line too far. Um, so I think the key thing is from the new system. I think it's going to be fun that we've got an interesting new boss, a new challenge. It'll be fun to do. I think we need sleep on that Christmas fusion. Like, we
Yeah.
can't have a boss which is like, if you've got Sify, great. I don't know if it's on Iron Twins. At least you have some options around Iron Twins in terms of unkillable options, in terms of different things to get through it. But for this boss, you don't have unkillable. That's not an option. You don't have anything like that. So unless unless we're going to get a sleep champion in the Christmas fusion, it's very much, if you've got Sify, you've won the game. And it's a bit I know it's a void legendary and people were like, well,
But
you
I
know,
guess
some
we'll
things,
we'll
but
see. So obviously Sify does it so well,
it's the extra
and
benefits,
she
right?
brings other stuff, doesn't she? That's the
She's
thing.
going to solve the healing problem because she heals on that A1 as well. So yes, she can only sleep when it's at 50% or more turn meter, but when it's below that, then she's going to heal you and be your
Yeah.
healer at the same time.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
That's why Sify is used in Hydra, because she can heal as much as she can do anything else. You get your
Yeah.
block debuffs, your increased defense, your tankiness, you get a revive. Like, the difference is, do you bring the common champion, which just sleeps, that's all he does, or do you bring a champion that can do that and heal you and revive and block damage, block increased defense and block debuffs?
Yeah.
It's a bit higher heavily indexed. As long as we get a Christmas fusion with a sleep mechanic, and I also think Morrigan, ironically, let's go back to that one. You know, it's a bit of a sidebar. Never skip a fusion.
Yeah.
Morrigan has the one thing that you probably do need on top that we haven't talked about is heal reduction, because he will heal, and she can do that. He can't cleanse this heal reduction. So actually, all of a sudden, Morrigan's value goes a much higher.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
will hurt
True.
herself with turn meter reduction, but you can run no accuracy, because she doesn't need accuracy for the passive. So you would run a no accuracy Morrigan to give yourself turn meter boost, not drop the enemy's turn meter boost, and then put the heal reduction on so that he can't heal himself, because obviously the boss can heal himself, right? So
Yeah.
it just goes to show to people who are like, I don't need this fusion. You've got to be careful, because sometimes that fusion is going to come out and you need it for something. It's
True.
the
True
only
story.
champion that can do this. And like, without requiring accuracy, I believe, an irresistible
And
heal reduction
are
that
we
can't be
certain that
removed.
he doesn't have immunity to heal reduction?
Yes, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have immunity. Once he's sleeped, he can be debuffed
Any
with
debuffs work.
most
Yeah.
things, apart from like
Interesting.
blocking skills. Like, you can't block his passives, obviously. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like heal reduction works on most bosses anyway, right? It's just
Well,
that
I
they
don't know
don't
that it
heal.
does. Oh, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
It works on
Yeah.
Agreth, for
True. Yeah, it
example.
does.
It's
Yeah,
just
it
that
does.
most bosses don't heal, so we don't bother about it. But it
Yeah.
just goes to show that a fusion can come out and look a bit average, and then all of a sudden the fusion might be one of the best champions for the new piece of content.
Put
So
something new. Yeah. True.
you've got to be
Yeah.
careful. It's one of those things.
Well, look,
So
I think well done if you're still around. It's a bit of a long chat. Hopefully, it was interesting. I always like doing this type of bit of a the aftermath. And once everyone's taken a night's sleep on new content and kind of aired their views, sometimes it's nice just to kind of take a step back and say, are we right, or actually are we overreacting, or are we under? What's the consensus here? But Saf, thanks for coming on. Thanks for kind of sharing your views as well.
cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and if you have not gone and subscribed to Saf at HH Gaming, I will link that down below, of course. Any final words, Saf?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I will probably do a video preview of like different suggested teams, which probably are not going to make any sense by the time we get the content, as always happens. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be coming pretty quickly. I think we're probably going to be getting it within a couple of weeks, most. So
Yeah, awesome.
I'll probably have a what's the best sleep champion video coming out soon, I'd imagine. Maybe we can do something there.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.